your character.
What's up? I'm not even gonna say the intro, cause you already know it's SCB Gaming. Now, if you're new here, subscribe, and I'm gonna try to get more to my Twitch channel, like right there. Follow me on Twitch. Well, I'm trying to get into that more, anyways. I'm not gonna be talking, cause you know I don't got a mic, which is probably sad. Today, actually, I want to go into a new segment. So today, segment since the last reaction. Since the last reaction, I thought it was good. So it's gonna be called Someday Scary, where I just randomly just react to a scary video and post it. I'm gonna try to do it like once a week or whenever I feel like it, but once a week sounds good. Anyway, so today we're reacting to Snarled. Such a scary urban legend. You see it. And remember to like. We're gonna be reacting to only 3. All right, only 3. I'm sorry for this intro for being too long. And yeah.
Want to hear something scary?
I like this vibe.
You've heard of the Slender Man, but have you heard of the tall, slender woman? This next chapter is a Japanese urban legend called Hachishaku-sama.
I mean, I could try to say it. It's probably gonna sound like a tongue twister. Hachishaku-sama. Oh, Hachishaku-sama.
Which means 8 feet tall. My grandparents lived in a small village in Japan. Every summer, my parents would take me there on holiday to visit them. The last time I saw them was the summer when I was 8 years old. My grandparents were inside the house and I was playing by myself outside in the backyard. I heard a strange sound.
Look at her face, bro. Why are you disturbing the peace? That face right there.
I didn't know what it was, and it was hard to figure out where it was coming from. I was looking around, searching for the source of the noise, when I noticed something on top of the tall hedges that enclosed the backyard. It was a straw hat. It wasn't resting on the hedge, it was behind it. That's where the sound was coming from. Then the hat began to move. It stopped at a small gap in the hedge, and I could see a face peering through.
Yeah.
It was a woman,
but
but the hedges were high, almost 8 feet tall. I was surprised at how tall the woman was. I wondered if she was wearing stilts or some sort of huge high-heeled shoes. Then, a split second later, she walked off, and the strange noise disappeared with her, fading into the distance.
Backing up.
Confused, I got up and ran back into the house. My grandparents were in the kitchen drinking tea. I sat down at the table and told my grandparents what I had seen. They weren't really paying attention to me until I mentioned that distinctive sound. They both froze. Grandma's eyes grew wide and she covered her mouth with...
See how that changed real fast? They said, oh, you like this tall. Okay, and she started making this weird noise like, whoa.
With her hand. Grandpa's face became very serious and he grabbed me by the arm. This is very important, he said, very intensely. How tall was she? As tall as the garden hedge? Where was she standing? When did this happen? What did you do? Did she see you? I tried to answer all his questions as best as I could.
Maybe slow down.
He rushed out to the hallway and made a phone call. I couldn't hear what he was saying, but after he hung up, he walked out the door. Grandma, what's going on? There's something dangerous abducting children in this area, she said. We call it Hachishaku-sama. It takes on the appearance of an extremely tall
What?
woman and says,
Ew.
in a
I'm
deep
about to have
voice.
nightmares.
A long time ago, it was captured by monks and they managed to confine it in a ruined building on the outskirts of the village. They trapped it using 4 jizo, small religious statues that they placed at the north, south, east, and west of the ruins so that it could not escape. But somehow, it did. The last time it appeared was 15 years ago. My grandmother said that anyone who saw it was destined to die within a few days. It all sounded so crazy. I wasn't sure what to believe. Just then, my grandpa came back, but with an old woman who called herself Keisan. They took me upstairs to my bedroom and began covering the windows with newspaper, with ancient runes written all over them. Keisan placed small bowls of salt in all 4 corners of the room and a small Buddha figure in the center.
Soon the sun will be setting, so listen carefully. You must stay in this room until 7:30 tomorrow morning. Do not open this door for any reason.
She placed a bucket in my hands.
Not even to use the restroom.
I have many questions. Here's one. When I pee and start smelling, what do I do? 2. What if I have to take a number 3? Number 3. That's gonna stink up the room. And I have to stay in it?
My grandparents and Keisan left the room and I locked the door after them. I couldn't believe what was happening. Was I really going to die in a few days? I turned on the TV to try to take my mind off everything and eventually fell asleep. I was awakened around 1 a.m. by a tapping sound on the window.
I know you hear me.
It's probably just a tree or something, I told myself. Then came a knock on the door and I heard my grandpa's voice. Are you okay in there? If you're scared, I can come keep you company. Hearing his voice was such a relief that without thinking, I rushed over to the door. But something didn't feel right. I looked at the bowls of salt in the room. All 4 of them had turned black. And then I heard the sound again.
I'm probably gonna look at the door.
The tapping on the window continued. I knelt in front of the Buddha and began to pray. I was so terrified and caught up in my chanting that I didn't realize the sounds had stopped. I checked my watch. It was 7:30 a.m. Carefully, I opened the door and ran to my grandparents. We all got in a van and headed straight for the airport. Apparently, there were others who had escaped the grasp of Hachisaku-sama as long as they never stepped foot in Japan again. So 2 years ago, when my grandpa got sick, he refused to let me visit him.
Okay, real talk. What would happen if you were to have to bite the dust of Hachisaku-sama? How would you die, really? Like, that's a question I need to know. Probably I could say it too.
He even left strict instructions in his will to not let me attend his funeral. I couldn't believe that this creature prevented me from saying goodbye to him. So when my grandma called a few days ago to tell me she had been diagnosed with cancer, I wasn't gonna let her stop me from visiting. It's been 10 years, Grandma, and nothing has happened to me. We don't even know if this thing is real. I'm not gonna let it stop me from seeing you.
Hey, she said it's not
If you say
real.
so, dear. I love you, Grandma. I'll see you soon. Have you ever been mistaken for someone else? I know the feeling. When I was younger, I would constantly be confused for my older sister.
I mean, if y'all twins, y'all twins. I mean, if y'all twins, there's nothing with that.
It didn't help that my mom would dress us alike and give us the same haircuts. I was so used to being called the wrong name or having teachers claim they saw me elsewhere. Now, years later, I've heard numerous stories about people seeing a family member only to have the real family member walk in moments later, or people seeing someone in one place while witnesses swear they saw that same person somewhere else. Looking back,
Can we get a little reference? You know, us. Yeah.
Back on it now, I wonder, what if there really was someone other than my sister being me? In this next chapter, we'll be discussing a curious phenomenon, doppelgangers. In paranormal terms, a doppelganger is a ghostly duplicate of a living being. According to superstition, seeing a doppelganger is a bad omen and a messenger of death. There are several famous cases throughout history. In 1603, Queen Elizabeth I had walked into her bedroom to find herself in terrible condition. Soon after, she became ill and died in that very bed. In 1796, Catherine the Great was awoken one night by her servants, claiming that someone who looked exactly like her was sitting in the throne room. Confused, she got up and went to the room and was shocked to see herself sitting in the throne. She ordered her servants to shoot at the imposter, but their bullets had no effect, and the double dematerialized. Within a few weeks, Catherine had died of a stroke. After being elected in 1860, Abraham Lincoln looked in a mirror and saw not one, but two reflections. One was Lincoln as he was, and the other was pale and sickly. He and his wife saw it as a sign that he would be elected for a second term, but wouldn't live to see it through. And we all know how that ended. Maybe it's just a coincidence that all of these people had seen their doppelganger before their untimely demise. After all, not every case ends in death. Like the story of Emily Sagy, a school teacher in France. Despite being kind and friendly, she had a difficult time keeping a job. She was fired 18 times from multiple schools because her doppelganger was terrifying everybody. On numerous occasions, staff members and students claimed to see a second Emily standing right beside her, mimicking her every movement. But the most famous incident...
If I was there one for her, she was ever freaking doing a whole presentation, I'm gonna be like, yeah. I'm sorry, who's the real one?
Was during a sewing class at an all-girls school. The room was filled with 42 students, with the supervising teacher sitting in the front. The room had giant windows that faced the garden, and everybody could see Emily, energetically and happily picking flowers. For whatever reason, the supervising teacher left the room. Suddenly, the students noticed that Emily's movements were slowing down, like her energy was being drained from her. Then, in the empty teacher's chair at the front of the classroom, a figure appeared. It was Emily. The girls couldn't believe what they were seeing. There were two Emilys, both in plain sight. They tried speaking to the figure in the chair, but she didn't respond. So one girl mustered up the courage to try and touch her. She slowly approached the apparition, reached her hand out, and passed her hand right through it. What does it feel like? The other girls asked. Like thick cobwebs. Then the doppelganger disappeared. The girls looked out the window to see the real Emily as she continued to walk through the garden as before. The horrified girls told their parents, who then complained to the school staff and had poor Emily fired again. Despite the many appearances of her doppelganger, Emily...
That's not her fault. It's not her fault. You could disagree with me. It's not her fault that she's got two doubles just walking around.
herself had never seen it. Doppelgangers are also common in the Philippines, where they're called gaya-gaya. Chelsea Braganza shared this story about her dad, Floyd, and her uncle, Fred, who had a puzzling run-in with one. When Floyd and Fred were in their teens, they were at home one day waiting for their friend Susanna to come over. There was a knock on the door, and there she was. "Hey, you're early," Floyd said. But she didn't say a word. Instead, she walked straight past him and into the bathroom. He thought it was pretty strange, but figured she just had to use the restroom really badly. Some time had passed, and Susanna still hadn't left the bathroom. Floyd needed to use it, so he knocked on the door. No answer. It had been at least an hour. "Hey, is everything okay in there?" Still no answer. They decided to pick the door open, shielding their eyes just in case they walked in on something they didn't want to see. But they didn't see anything. It was completely empty. The bathroom had no windows. Where did she go? Did you see her leave? No, did you? Just then, there was a knock on the door. It was Susanna. Oh, we didn't realize you left the bathroom earlier. What are you talking about? Weren't you here earlier? What? No, I just got here.
Let's act like
To this
that never
day,
happened.
they still have no idea what it was that walked into the house. Doppelgangers have appeared all over the world and all throughout time. Maybe it's our minds playing tricks on us. Or maybe that's what they want us to think. And now we close this volume with a story from Megan in Scotland. Megan never believed in the paranormal until it begged for her attention. Megan and her boyfriend Mikey had just moved into a flat in Aberdeen, Scotland. It was small, but cozy. There were 2 large windows, one in the kitchen that faced the garden, and one in the bedroom that faced the street. They usually kept the blinds closed to hide their expensive musical equipment. One night, Mikey was attending a concert in Glasgow and wouldn't return home until 4 in the morning, leaving Megan all alone. After he left, she spent the night catching up on her favorite TV shows. She fell asleep with her TV on, but a sound jolted her awake around 11:45 p.m. It was a slow knocking. She got out of her bed, thinking that it was her upstairs neighbor asking to turn her TV down, as it was still blaring when she woke up. She readied her apology in her head and walked to the front door. But when she looked inside the peephole, no one was there. She shrugged it off, thinking she must have been imagining the sound, and walked back to her bedroom. And then she heard it again. It was coming from the kitchen. She must have forgotten to close the blinds that night, because when she turned on the light, she was face to face with a woman in the window. She was wearing a dark,
No. Look at her face. You want to explain to me what this is? She looks like that same girl. That same woman off of Tango. Freaking that old lady.
overcoat, and her long red hair hung around her face like seaweed. Her mouth was twisted up into a terrifying grimace, showing the few rotten teeth she had left. Megan knew what this was. Her grandparents told her the stories when she was little. That was no woman. That was a banshee. In Irish mythology, a banshee is a female spirit who lives by the river. They usually have the appearance of an old hag, but are capable of making themselves as young and beautiful as they choose. In Ireland and Scotland, it is traditional for women to wail or keen at funerals. So if you hear the keen of the banshee, she's alerting you that death is nearby. "Let me in," the banshee croaked, her strained voice echoing in the walls. "I've been hurt." But Megan didn't believe her. She was now tapping louder on the glass. I'm gonna get you some help." "What kind of woman are you?"
No. No. You gonna stay out there with those rats. I leave.
Megan ran to her bedroom and dialed the police. She sat on her bed, shaking and praying to every god she could think of. It was the most
She a polydism?
horrifying experience of her life. The banging on the window had stopped. Is she gone? Megan thought to herself. But then she noticed a shadow from behind her bedroom curtain. "Little you think you're too good?" There was nothing Megan could do but wait there while the banshee taunted her. Then she saw red and blue lights flash outside. Finally, the police were here. She went to the front door where she could hear the mumbled voices of the officers outside. She was just about ready to let them in when she heard, "It's her. It's her." Megan didn't know what to do. She stood there, frozen in place until the mail slot in her door slowly swung open.
"Miss, is everything all right?"
Megan told the police everything that happened and described the woman in detail. They thought she just might be a violent drunk, and so they told Megan that they would check the CCTV cameras in the area to see if they could find her and prevent her from harassing anyone else. Days later, Megan got a call from the office that they would check the CCTV cameras in the area to see if they could find her and prevent her from harassing anyone else. Days later, Megan got a call from the officer. So we checked the security cameras in your area, and yes, we did see a woman who matched your description. What was strange, though, was that she only appeared in the one camera, right outside your building. We couldn't see where she came from or went to. Like she vanished into thin air. For the next few days, Megan tried not to think about that night. Maybe it wasn't a banshee. Maybe it really was just a strung-out old lady. Because if it was a banshee, that meant that someone close to her was going to die very soon. About a week after the incident, Megan's friend called her to tell her that her mother had passed. Whether or not it was just a coincidence, Megan didn't want to tell her friend about what she saw. What if there was something she could have done? Ever since that night, strange but subtle things continued to happen in that flat. Megan's wind-up music box would suddenly begin playing when no one was near it. Lights would flicker on and off. The water in the bathroom would randomly turn itself on.
Whatever you at, you rather just move.
Centuries ago, when a well would overflow, it was a sign that a banshee was near. It didn't help that these things only happened when Megan was home alone, leading Mikey to believe that she had a wild imagination. And maybe that's exactly how the banshees want it to be. Have you or anyone you know had any run-ins with a banshee? Let me know in the comments. And a very special thank you to Megan Matheson for sharing this story with me. Like this video if it gave you the chills, and don't forget to subscribe to Snarled and our sister channels Hissy Fit and Slay Tricks.
Yeah, I already did it, so haha. Alright.
If you or anyone you know have a unique paranormal experience, message me on Instagram and I might feature your story. And if you dare to follow me, my links are in the description below. Until next time, sweet dreams.
Okay. What can I really say after this? Thank you for watching the video. If you made it here, you already know what to do. I already said it for the first. Like and subscribe. Now, this is a good video. I ain't gonna hold you. Bam. Now, this is a good video. I really liked it. I liked how she told the story. It will give me nightmares. No lie. I'm about to sleep. Freaking hear. And see some old lady. I'm sorry. I'm black. I gotta move. I'm sorry. It's not my fault. It's nobody's fault. I'm just like that. Yeah. Yeah. Remember, subscribe so you can be with the STB clan. Alright? Now, well, I'm probably not going to get it. But right here, Xbox. Here, PS4. And here is Twitch. Now, if you're smart enough, you will follow me and add me. I will add you back. We will play together, but it's gonna be rare that yeah. So hope you like the video. If you do, good. And if you don't, why are you here? Don't even say anything. All right. Let me tell you something.
Remember to like and sub for me, SMDCAY and the SMDCLAN, or you're gonna end up like another dead meme.